share, bring your dream to the table. Mama Vega's here helping women feel able. Business, purpose, wellness, and life. We rise together and build what's right. Welcome to Mama Vega's kitchen table, where women gather to grow, build, and rise. One story, one dream, one business at a time. Mama Vega's kitchen table, where women rise and shine.
Okay, in today's episode, we're going to talk about money, pricing, and why women undervalue themselves. And I think this is a perfect segue from what we said the last time about what we wear, how we feel about ourselves, what we think other people say, and sometimes we allow what other people say to get into our head. They have that expression now, I don't want anybody to live in my brain rent-free. And we have to learn to not allow those people to be in our head for rent-free. And that's why I want to say sometimes you have to not be around those people. And oftentimes that can come from family members, people who you're doing business with, because they know which buttons to push. And we allow those buttons to be pushed. But if you remove yourself from those situations, you don't have to worry about it. You know, you just have to declutter your brain from all of those things. And that's what this is partly about as well, is being able to declutter so you're not so concerned about that. And also there's somebody else who you can call and say, you know, hey, you know, what do you think about this? This is the situation that I was in. What do you think about it? And that way we can remove the emotion from it, and we can just look at it from just purely, this is the situation. This is how I see it and what it is. Whereas when somebody else is saying it, we allow that emotion to get with us. And sometimes when people, even people who are well-intending to say what's going on with you, because of our own paradigm, we may take it a different way than it was really intended. I know earlier Bisha told me about how when she first met me and I explained to her that, you know, I do consulting and everything, and I used to be a special ed teacher. You can give your story now.
Oh, yeah. The first time that she told me that she kept saying she was a special ed teacher, and she repeated it a couple of times. I took it at first. I got really peeved because I'm like, why she keep telling me that she's a special ed teacher? What does that mean? What you trying to say? Because that was my first thought, you know. Girl. But then I started analyzing it, and I'm thinking, okay, well, she's saying that she's trained to see highly functional people with dysfunctions. Right. So she's trained to deal with a person like me. It wasn't. I totally get where you were going. Yeah, girl. I went home and told my daughter. I was like, this woman kept saying something about special ed. And then the cold thing about it is I was in one of those remedial classes in high school. So I was like, it didn't help it. I promise you I was mad. It took me a day to figure out that she specialized in highly functional with dysfunction. And then I started looking at it differently, like, oh, she'll have the patience to deal with my sporadic thinking. She knows how to unclutter the clutter. Right. You know, but it took me a whole day of overthinking of why this woman keeps saying I'm special. I kept thinking she's telling me I'm special ed. There's nothing wrong with special ed children. They're beautiful and they're the most happiest people. So don't get me wrong. But I just really thought. You were feeling some type of way. Yeah, I was feeling some type of way. Because and she said, I'm gonna tell you how many times she said she was a special ed teacher in one conversation 5 times.
Not her count.
I promise you, that's how obsessed I was about, you know, because there's so many negative comments that came my way. Right. And then you got those slick tongues that will give you that backhand disrespect. Right. But then say, girl, bless your soul.
You know what I'm saying? No, for real. But that's how I know what you're talking about.
Right.
Because I know she wasn't saying that. I
No,
get it,
she
but
wasn't.
when you brought it up, I was like, you know what? She hitting on something because for real, but not bad. I was just like, maybe she noticed something about me.
That's what I was thinking.
You know,
am I ADHD?
Right.
But Renee said the same thing to me too. When I first met her, she said the same thing. But then after she met me a couple of times, both of you almost said the same exact thing. Both of you said, but you see me.
Yes.
You both use that terminology.
Yeah,
exactly.
By saying, but you see me.
And you understand.
And the same thing with this one over here who's trying to be quiet. She said the same thing. She tells me the same thing. She said, but you see me. And she'll call me, she'll go, yeah, sometimes you're a little bit direct, but
I would rather.
It is refreshing to because this is my thing. I don't like to be told little white lies. I don't like people like gaslighting me. I don't know how to tell the difference. You see what I'm saying? Like I don't I have my attitude and stuff, and I think I've used that a lot to get through on stuff, but it's really just there because sometimes I don't know what context of people are saying stuff. And I have been ridiculed a lot. I've been called the R word growing up. I've been called all type of stuff growing up. And anything from like genius to R word. And none of it makes me feel any better. It doesn't make me feel, it makes me feel like I'm alone on an island and nobody can talk to me. You know what I'm saying? The last person that could was my dad. He's been gone for like almost 30 years. Next is my husband. Are those the only people that I can talk to? Then until I met, well, actually, when I met you and then you, because I asked for mentorship. Like that was the main thing that I wanted. I didn't want a job. I didn't want to go to school or anything. I wanted actual business mentorship. That was me reaching out and saying, I want to put this clothes on. And I want to do this. And I know I have to get the quality people to help me with that because I don't think I'm quality. I gotta get there.
Well, you got so much knowledge. It's I can't wait to pick your brain. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Don't beat yourself up for not being able to distinguish between the two, because when people gaslight you, they're like
experts.
Like they're making you, oh no,
doubt yourself.
No.
Yeah, they doubting you. They
of
make
course
you
you
doubt
don't
yourself.
look this way, or you don't see that. No, you don't see that. So that's playing mind games, because there you go with the brilliance. You already. I know this is not what they're saying. I know this is not what they see, but they're telling you that. Oh no.
Yeah, it's
don't trust what you're saying. Don't feel your feelings. Don't trust yourself. That's what it is. So don't fault yourself for that, because that's what they're doing. They want you to believe that you don't see it. Yeah, you're actually looking at it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
And this is why you undervalue. When you get ready to put a price on something, or you get ready to say what you want to charge somebody for, is because you've listened to those things in the back of your head, and you're like, no, nobody's going to buy that from me because of this, that, or the other thing. And that's what this whole thing is about, is also how you dress can give you that confidence. Last time we talked about what you wear, how you walk out that door. Once you step out the door, then that's telling you, oh, okay, I've got confidence to do this. And you're not going to get in my head. You're not going to tell me. And that's when you walk into a room. You can command the room, like we talked about. When you walk into that room, you can take command of the room just by what you're wearing, and you don't have to open your mouth. You just spoke. As soon as you walk in, you just spoke. I just said what I had to say. Okay, I am here. I am here. We would always hear, I am somebody, but I just say, I am me. I don't have to say, I am somebody. I am me. I'm not somebody. I am me. And so that's what you walk in and you carry that. And that's why if you price something, and that's the price that it is, because remember, we talked about pricing. We're going to circle back to that, and I know you guys deal with that with real estate also, and trying to tell a person, the pricing. And sometimes they think that their house or whatever it is that they have is worth all of this. And then when you go and you look at it, you have to tell them, I'm sorry, but the reality is you're not going to get that. I know this is your love and your baby and you did all these things, but the market is not doing this is not doing that, all these other things. And then you have the other side that you have a house or a product, because a house is a product, right? And then you have this, and then you want somebody to buy it, and you know that it is that, and people are like, why is it all this? Well, because of the workmanship that went into it, because of the structure that it has. It has red wood that's that is built with termites are not going to eat at it, or it has this, all these other things that you can point out that it has. Well, that comes the same thing with when you wear your clothing and when you have a service that you're providing. Why you have to pay all that? Because what went into my service is the knowledge that I have that went into it. I paid for that knowledge. I don't need to give you my knowledge for free.
Right.
The other person who gave me the knowledge that they have, I had to pay for theirs. So it's a trickle down effect.
Yeah.
That means I had to pay for it. Now I'm just passing that on to you. But in addition to paying for my knowledge, you have to pay for my years of experience.
Right. That part.
And so that's what becomes important when you want to look at it, that you don't devalue yourself. So wear it. You put your clothing on so that now you have that confidence. But when you have that confidence, you show up. And when you're showing up to say, I am worth this, and this is what my service is worth. And it's either you can do it or you can't, because let's face it, if a person values what you have to offer, they will pay for it. Right. They will figure out a way to buy it if they value what you're doing. And it's also in the wording, making sure that when you're wording something that you don't sound desperate. Right.
Yeah.
You can't say, oh, well, don't worry about it. I can get it for you right away. I can do this. No, that sounds desperate. Make an appointment.
Right. Yeah, I have a example of that, because my seasoning, I have it priced at $25, and because it hadn't been moving, even though I'm not even thinking. This is me in my own self and my own self-doubt. I had posted like maybe about 3 months ago, because I was like, this is not, nobody's buying it. Maybe put up, oh, for this week we're having a sale. It's a special price on that ish. But then I thought about it, and I'm glad nobody saw it, because that was me being desperate when I knew my product, because I started hearing about, oh, we got this, buy it. You buy, we fry, and their fish fry is only $8.99. How I'm gonna pay $8.99 up in there? You want $25 for yours? What's so special about your ish? It's gourmet.
Right.
That's what's so special. It's a specialty.
Right.
It's a limited edition. But I wasn't feeling limited edition when I needed some gas money, so I would throw it up there and price it down so that I can get that gas money when I just lost money. And you don't think of it like that. It's like I'm having a flash sale. Sale, because even in retail, the only reason we're going to have a flash sale is because the sales are down. My sales were down, and I was thinking real retail, but I wasn't considering myself.
And and when you're thinking retail, to go along with that, you're thinking retail for these bigger companies.
Yes.
When these bigger companies do retail and they do that flash sale and they mark it down and everything, that's also called a loss leader for them.
It is.
So that's a write-off.
Right.
So
yes.
You don't have
recoup from that loss.
Yeah. You don't have a tax write-off.
No, I don't.
You don't have a tax write-off.
Yeah.
So when you are downing your value, that's not a loss leader.
Yeah.
That's a loss.
That's just a loss.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the difference. So you have to look at when they're doing it versus when you're doing it. And you have to look at your wording too. If you say something, and a person said, oh, well, I can do this, on a short notice, and I can do this today. That sounds desperate. That doesn't sound like you are accommodating somebody. That's not what that is. You're not accommodating anybody. You're sounding desperate. Like, okay, I can do whatever you want. I can do that, and I can make myself available for you.
Oh, and it wears you out doing it like that. It wears you. I did backyard parties, fish fries, and this was a time where I was in the hotel rooms. So my whole thought was, I got to make sure I pay for these 21 days, because every 21 days you got to move from the hotel.
Right,
you know what I mean? So I have to make sure that my kids have a roof over their head, So I'm doing all these backyard things, $300 here, $300 there, but my body feels so, and it was terrible. It was terrible. That's when I had to stop everything. I stopped cooking, stopped doing everything so I can revamp and get my confidence back up in my skills when I know that I'm skilled. I know that this is, I always tell my kids, we millionaires around here. I call them all millionaires as I walk through the house. You know, only got $2 in my pocket, but I bet you I've always been good at making 15 cents into $1. You know, and that skill didn't come from nowhere. You know, I know how to flip, I know how to double, I know how to triple. I just didn't know how to maintain.
Because it's not to be maintained. Because like you talking about, you would not even realize at that time you were just trying to focus on putting a group of kids,
and that's it.
And that was it. So
and that was
no
it.
prioritization.
No, it wasn't.
The job and the thing that you was actually spending way more in energy
And
money.
And then the thing about it is when I had, like I was telling Mama Vega, I said there was this one time that I had did these people that were higher up. They were way out there, way past Purdue, way out there. Okay. And first of all, it tripped me out because when I've never had people help me set up my stuff, like the people who are paying me to set up my stuff, all these men came out. Well, I was scared. I wanted to take off running because I'm the only brown child over here, and I'm looking like, what all these men coming out? They came and set up all my stuff, and before I walked in the house, they said, how much you charge? And I gave them my price, and it's like, I'm gonna pay you right now before you get started, which made their fish taste better. Mm-hmm. And they accommodated me. I've never had that. So in between all of this stuff that I went through, I had little sparks of, this is what you can have if you would get your mind right. This is what you can have if you get your mind right. Like, there's times where I've had luxury cars, I had all of that. But because of my arrogance and my lack of value of self, I lost it. Mm-hmm. Because here I was buying a Lexus, and my first thought was, when I get broke, I'm gonna sell that.
Yes, that hood mentality. I'm not calling it like it is, because that I used to be like that too.
So you were already in the mental state of, I'm going to be broke.
Yes,
that's where you already were.
Yes,
you weren't looking at, I have this, and now that I have this, I can now do the next thing, because this is what people see me as having, and since they see me as having this can get me to the next level. You're looking at it like, because I have this, when I get broke, I can sell this.
Yes,
that's limiting. That's the attitude of less. I have less, and I'm devaluing myself.
And see, I didn't think of it like that. I looked at the Lexus as a means to an end. Like because especially around tax time, them folks over there in the hood to hear Lexus, I don't care if it's smoking, as long as it's tagged. You're gonna give me 5 G's for this. Just because it says Lexus and there's no tears in it. Put a little smell good up in there, put that black ice and wash it up.
I'll tell you
that's
this.
It.
When I came to Bakersfield, I went to a women's shelter, and I didn't know anybody out here. Mm-hmm. And I had to lose everything, like my clothing, my cars, everything. Mm-hmm. And while I'm at the shelter, I'm like, okay, just because I'm here, that doesn't mean I get to wear my Ralph Lauren or my Victoria's Secret stuff and things like that. I couldn't be comfortable in that place with the clothes I had. I had not even shopped at Walmart before. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? So like that weekend, took my daughter, we went and got a stroller, because they were going to give free ones, but I didn't want one. I wanted to buy her own. Mm-hmm. And we went and I got t-shirts and I got towels and things like that. And I had a lady that was in the room with me in the dorms, told me that when she saw all my haul, like the kids' diapers, things for the children, the clothes and stuff like that, she goes, oh, that's a pretty good idea. Most of the ladies here don't do that. And I was like, why? What do you mean? She said, oh, they always getting free stuff from the warehouse. And I'm like, free stuff from the warehouse? I didn't know what the heck that meant. She was just like explaining it. And I said, oh, okay, that's nice. So because of that, she was telling me all the stuff you have to do, and I'm just listening, but I didn't think I was going to do it, because really, I don't like to take free stuff. I don't know what it is. Like, I like my own things, you know? So like when I have to, like I did have to a few times, I would get the free diapers, but it's not the brand that my kids are used to. So I always made sure to have their stuff. Now, I didn't bother anybody with this. I didn't ask anybody for money, no asking for anything. But somehow it bothered people. It bothered people that I had a standard, that I'm wiping my kids' hands all the time because hello, we're in a we're in a place where it's public with everyone around and kids are sneezing all over the place. So yes, I am a little bougie and I'm wiping their nose and I have 2 outfits for every child. So in case they got juice or dirt on that one, I would just change it out and have a different out. I had so many people complain about me for doing that rather than what I was doing. I was going to West Tech classes. I was getting my hazmat endorsements for being a trucker. I was pregnant at the time, mind you, and they were actually allowing me to do the forklift test, even though they said no, I shouldn't. I was like determined to do something out of that shelter. I just wanted to get out and do stuff, but it seemed like they were penalizing me more for taking charge of my own self, and that's why, like with my business, I want to give people their righteous accountability. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be in the space of helping people that are growing, like children that are in foster youth. They're growing and developing. They don't really have anybody to help guide them. And then people that are in domestic situations, they don't have the mind capacity to think right sometimes. So you need to help them be able to get to that right space. I can't do that with all that extra stuff that people wants to like put there. And so that's why, like, when we're talking about like showing up for yourself, how you going to do it, I even think about that time for me then, like how I have to show up even when I was in a shelter. Like, it was so degrading to me to have to put on a cotton t-shirt and when I'm used to wearing,
and see, I never got to the shelter part because I did not want my kids to be in the shelter. That's why I hustled the way I hustled, because I was not going to go to, because I already knew I had already did time with a whole bunch of women, a year county, a year inside a rescue mission. Okay. So I didn't want to be around a lot of women because at that time I just didn't like them. That it was too much to deal with what I was going on with me, plus whatever else was going on around me. And when you're in a barrack situation, everybody is watching you from their bed. You know what I mean? And once I got to that point to where what did I say? Oh, yeah, I would not go to the shelter because first I was scared. And I didn't know if I could protect myself that way, and where you didn't want to take the free things. I was raised in a house where we lived in both worlds. My parents were bougie. They had all the new stuff. They had everything, everything, but we still had our people around that were doing bad, so I was on both sides. So instead of me buying the kids their stuff, that's how I shopped. I would go to the pantry because I noticed that corn is no longer 2 for $1. I would go to the pantry, get all my canned goods, get whatever they're going to give me, and then I go shopping with my money so that I can still have ice cream money behind the kids. Because that's one thing that I do like to do is when the kids ask for ice cream, I like to be able to give them. You know what I mean? So I started off at the free stuff. Free stuff, I'm getting it. And I used to get talked about like a dog. Even my auntie say, Bisha, why don't you do it? You know how to beg. Straight up. Yeah, this is the family I was raised in. Bisha, go on out there and get that money. You know how to beg. No, it's not that I know how to beg. I'm just not going to sit here and let stuff happen to me, And I didn't want to spend the extra money on the Pampers and stuff like that because I'm one of those ones that like cash in my pocket all the time. That's part of the hustling. I don't care if it's $20. I got cash,
right?
Right. But I ended up doing the free stuff first, and I had got so much ridicule from my family. But then when it's time to eat, y'all eating that free.
They're coming to your house, right, to eat. That's the same thing happens to me. They'll talk smack about me, everything, and it's like, but you come in my house. I'm the one that's feeding you.
Yeah.
I'm the one that takes you in.
Yeah, I can give you a full example. I put in an ad in a penny saver. You remember penny savers?
Yes.
Okay. I had just my unemployment had ran out. Christmas was coming up. I didn't know, first of all, this is how I would, my PG&E bill was high, so I already knew that he was going to pay that PG&E so I can have some Christmas money. That's how we do things around here, you know. You know, so what I did was I put a penny saver, ad in a penny saver, told them that I had this many children, I don't have any Christmas gifts and this and this and that. You know, my whole family laughed at me, talked about me. Isha always begging. Every time I turn around, she got her hands out. But my hands ain't out to you, though. My hands is not out to you. Why what I'm doing disturbs you? You know, that's your ego. But then in the end, I had gift cards for all the kids. I had got 3 Christmas meals and gave my mom a Christmas meal, gave my auntie a Christmas meal, and we ate, you know, all from this begging. And they were right there eating on them good things, you know.
Debbie, I'm looking at your face. What you've got to add to this?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, Renee and I have talked about the value, how you value yourself. And I used to always say, to help people, to accommodate them, but then, you know, I do as much work as an agent who does full service. And I only do like 2.5%, 2%, where everybody else charges 3%. And everybody used to tell me, why are you cutting yourself? It's like, I don't see it that way. I see it as helping somebody, you know, not to get the listing, but just to say, I'm going to save you, if your house is $450,000, I'm going to save you $4,500. When in reality, I'm still doing all the work. So about 6-7 years ago, my mom was still alive, and a friend of the family who was in mortgage, they were getting their license, and they wanted to come and talk to my mom because their mother and my mom were good friends. So my mom had already told me, you better think before you say anything, because I'm oblivious to everything. I trust everybody, you know, before anything. She says you got to be on your toes, because if you share what you have, they're going to take it from you. So sure enough, this person who's in mortgage, he was breaking in. He said, maybe we can, since our parents know each other, that was the intro, we can, you know, partner up. And I already had my master's. I was already working towards my doctorate. So I'm already, you know, I have my GRI. GRI versus a regular real estate agent is a difference between a bookkeeper and a CPA. So I have my GRI, and I have other designations. And I was listening to him, and he said, "Hell, we could just be 50-50." And I said, "When you have," my mother was in my head, you know. So I said, "When you have the degrees I have, when you have 13 years of experience or 14 years of experience in real estate, then you can tell me. But other than that, you're here and I'm here, and you want me to train you but give you half of everything." I said, "I can't do that." And my mom, when I told her, she says, "That's how I want you to value yourself, because you don't know how valuable you are till somebody, they see that you're giving and you're okay, accommodating." She said, "You can't do that." She said, "Are they going to help you pay your school tuition?" I'm like, "No." "Why are you going to give them all this information for free? When they're on your level, I can see. But other than that, they're not. Did they ask you to be their partner in the mortgage company?" I said, "No." She goes, "There you go." Exactly. There you go.
And I'm agreeing with that. But I also feel that you're also, now that you know that, and you know the percentage that you should be charging,
I've known all along.
I know you've known all along, and that's what I'm getting at, is that you're still undervaluing yourself. And that's what I'm going to call you out on, because you 2%. Are still undervaluing yourself. And I know there are agents out there that are getting the 6%. I know that that's what it is. I know that's the standard. I know if you were on the East Coast, some places, if you were selling on the East Coast, it's 7 and 8%.
Right.
Yeah. So, you know, here you are still undervaluing yourself. And when you undervalue yourself, that's where even your peers are devaluing you, and they don't recognize you for your worth. So because you put yourself there, you're not you're not valuing yourself. So you need to get your mom's, sayings back in your head again. You have it, in one of the file drawers, and you've put it on a back shelf, and it's probably got cobwebs and everything else on it. It's in the archives. You need to pull that drawer out of the archives, and you need to start charging your value, because let's face it, you still have things to pay out of that percentage that you have, and I know that. So when you're done with all the paperwork you do, all the hours you put in to show that particular property and everything, you now have just lost money. You sold something, but you really didn't make a profit. You grossed this, but when you deduct everything that's deducted, you don't have a profit that you would have made. So that's one of the things that we're talking about here. And since we're talking about real estate and all that, I am going to call you out on that. And I'm going to challenge you to now start charging what your worth is.
So that's why, remember I spoke to you about
You did.
this. I have what 1% commission would do as far as open houses, what 2% would do, and
your chart list,
and what 3%. I have that all. So when I do a listing, I'm going to say, they say, what do you charge to do? I'm going to hand them the list and say, it's from basic to full service. You choose. But what I won't do is listed in there, because it has the basic, and then it has all these other, and the full service has everything. The basic is up here in the full service. So that's what I'm gonna let that speak.
So you're going to give them a value menu?
That's what I'm looking at.
That's what it sounds like. The chart is a value menu.
Well,
you start off at 3%.
Well, no.
Period. I wouldn't even give them a choice between. You're coming in full.
Because there's a lot of people who say
it's not about
people.
It's your pocket.
You just said what value you have with all the accolades you have, and then you're gonna tell me you're gonna give me some dollar.
You see, now I have a team of.
Yeah, I mean that's when I go into Burger King. I promise you, the first thing I do is it depends on what kind of money I have. It depends on what kind of money I have. I'm gonna walk up in there. If I have enough money to get me the Whopper, I'm gonna get the Whopper. That's like a $10 everything meal. But then if I come up in there and I got that Whopper money, but that's all the money that I have, I'm coming up in there and I'll be like, what's your value meal? And they have it listed. If you list a price, I'm going to go for the lower price. Exactly. And then I'm going to push you into giving me full service, because I can see that you don't value yourself. So I'm going to push you into giving me what I want for 1%.
Exactly.
Because one thing about that I've learned in life is people see your value and they take advantage of your low self-esteem.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, that's exactly right. And I see it as lowering my price to help, but then they see it, but I'm not helping. Yeah,
you're not.
And I see that, and I hear my mother say that,
and you're being taken advantage of.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, and I've heard people. I've heard people say this.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to stand and get ready for resistance.
Oh yeah,
because they're used to you. Because I'm gonna tell you, I was just like that, and I had to go through. And what you did, the list. I used to look at that list and get mad at myself because I'm allowing these people to screw me over. And people used to always tell me, you can't, like you say, you teach people how to treat you. Mm-hmm. And people used to tell me that, and I didn't understand what the heck that meant. What does that mean? And then somebody would tell me they see your value as much as you value yourself. I'm like, what does that mean? Mm-hmm. But until I actually had to go through it, and then I had to cut off all the people that was around me, and I ended up having to be by myself, with my thoughts. I started picking out all the patterns of where I allowed people to step on me, and then I started getting angry with myself, and then it's like, why get mad? Let's do something about it. And when I started standing up for myself, I had people.
There's probably want to say 60% of when you talk to owners who want to sell, they'll interview other agents, and if you say, they'll say, what will you do to sell my house? What are your marketing strategies? Well, I'll do open houses, at least 2 or 3 a month, which is Saturday and Sunday. Put it on social media, call my other agents, and I tell them everything that I do. Well, I talked to this other agent, and they said they would do it for 2%.
Yeah, that's nothing but finagling.
But the thing is you don't need to concern yourself about them saying this other agent will do it for 2%, and that's them trying to get you to drop, and that's them trying to get you to lower. The fact of the matter is that if you're saying you're doing social media and you're saying you're doing this is how I'm doing my social media. So what you do is whatever you're doing, you show how what you're doing is of greater value than anybody else. And that's all you do. This is what it is, and that's your lowest. The 3% is the lowest. And the thing is you should come in with the 6% and let them negotiate.
The 6% is the 3 on the listing and the 3 on the selling.
Right.
But I always say, they'll say, what is your fee? And I said, well, I charge 3%. I'm worth 10, but I charge 3% because that's pretty much the whatever. But I tell them everything, and if they say, because they've said before, this person will do it for 2%, and it's like, well, they probably won't give you the package deal like I will.
And you know what I would do? Have a nice day. It was nice meeting you.
And what I usually do.
And when you walk out, and when you walk out, they're gonna chase you because guess what? You value yourself.
Yeah. Which is why you need to put that on your wall.
What's not accessible is what's not accessible is what everybody wants, what nobody else has, And if I have an aunt that's in real estate. She came from Atlanta. This woman has been to Israel, all these places, and these are clients that gave her these packages. This woman is in Bakersfield right now. You would think that she live in France, in Paris somewhere. She still wears her little hats and her cloaks and her little pins, and this woman walks around like this all day long. You know what I mean?
Is she her name agent here in Bakersfield?
Yes. Her name is Ludi Wandick. Yeah, I guess she's independent. I don't know what she does,
maybe she's a broker.
She's probably, I don't know what she is. I know she just got my sister in the condo. But she came from Atlanta, and this woman, it could be hot outside and she still look like she's walking down the, like she's out to make that $1 billion.
And she's noticeable. That's what the clothing is all about.
Yes.
It's not just noticeable. It's not noticeable, but it's the attitude that you have to go
It's the clothing,
with
and when you dressed it differently, your attitude changes.
No, you need to believe and own it because and I'm telling you, and it's hard because every day, anytime that I come here, I'm always trying to talk myself out of it because the old me don't think that I deserve.
She tells me that every morning, every
I fight to
Monday.
Get out of my house because I don't want to come here. My old me do not want to succeed, but I am refusing.
You're fighting your own demons.
Yes, ma'am. As we speak right now. Spiritual warfare. As we speak right now, I was telling Mama Vega that Sunday I woke up and I had flat tires. I had a flat tire, and I would usually go into a panic mode, but this time I thought to myself, you know what? I'm glad that I had the money to buy the tires.
Right.
But just to end it all, it's like I think that with Deb, she just needs to believe that she can be successful, and I have to tell myself every morning, I am successful. I am like that little girl on Help. You is smart. You is beautiful. And I tell myself that every morning. You is smart. You is beautiful. You are important.
Well, you all have a challenge for next week for yourselves.
Okay. Yes.
So you're going to have to come up with something that you are creating or making And then you're going to have to price it at the value that it should be, not at the value that you think people will purchase, but the value that you know it should be priced at.
Okay, so the product or service?
Product or service. And I want you to do your calculations. We went over it. If you need me to send it to you again, I can. But you're going to look at the time you put in, the ingredients that go into it, or what you had to do. Your case, if it would be paper, pens, pencils, whatever, ink, all that stuff that you would have to do. Your case, it's going to be if it's ingredients or if it's the wedding stuff. The time you put in, what it would take, or your database, creating your database. And then yours is going to be your blings or
the blings. I already have.
Blings.
Yeah, because I'm working on some shoes right now.
Okay, so you're going to look at that of what went into it and how much time it takes to go into you doing it. Because I know you have to use that special tool in order to pick up the little jewels and stuff and the glues, and so you're gonna price out every single thing, and then you're gonna come up with what that price should be, and we're going to look at it and see if you guys came up with the right price or if it should be a different price. And you're gonna help. We're gonna figure all of that out together.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yes.
And so we're going to end with that, and we're going to challenge our listeners to do the same thing. We're going to challenge them to look at any service or product that they're doing for them to now come up with whatever the price should be based on the reality, not based on emotions, but based on the reality. And then they're going to have to reflect back, like we're making Debbie do, reflect back on what she should do and not worry about what somebody else might say, but exactly what it should be. And we will close with that. And we're going to play your little jingle that we all have. So we're going to do that so that you guys have it.
Around the table, we plant the seed. Women rise with what they need. Business, courage, wisdom, and grace. Mama Vega holds the space. Thank you for joining Mama Vega's kitchen table, where women gather to grow, build, and rise. Remember, your dream matters, your voice has power, and your legacy starts with one brave step. Mama Vega's kitchen table, where women rise and shine.